It's Shorty. I am here to talk about Geminis. So, I do have this book. It's called The Complete Book of the Zodiac. And I'm going to go ahead and read the section about Geminis for you. And Gemini was born between May 22nd and June 22nd, according to the Gregorian calendar. So, it says, every Gemini is a dreamer of dreams and a weaver of visions. Geminis are the zodiac's perpetual children, refusing, even in old age, to betray their innocent faith in the possibility of a happier world for all. It is this deep inner well of simple, trusting enthusiasm which makes every Gemini such a potentially powerful person. If you value your sanity, never try to argue with a Gemini. At least not until you can handle a conversation that sweeps widely from one subject to another, speeding up, slowing down, twisting and turning like an intellectual roller coaster. Geminis love a good debate, caring more for the process of persuasion than for the final outcome. They love to ask questions, and they're never afraid to probe people on subjects which others would diplomatically avoid. Geminis suffer from intermittent dark moods, when they don't want to talk to anyone about anything. These happily don't last long, and Geminis are soon ready to communicate again. You can say things to a Gemini which most other people would consider crazy, and you'll find yourself being taken seriously. Likewise, you can expect to hear the oddest thoughts and ideas earnestly expressed by your Gemini friend. Geminis can be exasperating because they prefer thoughts to feelings. They try to rationalize things which can't be rationalized, like love, affection, sorrow, or desire. These This sometimes leads to brilliant original insights, but it can just lead to trouble or misunderstanding. If you want to ensure that a Gemini has a good birthday, forget the cake and candles. Give them something or take them somewhere that inspires plenty of exciting and fulfilling conversation. Home. A Gemini's home needn't be palatal, palatal, but it must have plenty of interesting things to look at and fiddle with. Geminis can't stand sitting around being bored. Your perfect home is probably a wigwam in Wisconsin. A lifestyle in the heart of Native American community would suit you to a teepee, especially if the tribe were to acknowledge your interest in communication by putting you in charge of smoke signals. Failing that, a house in Georgetown, D.C. would keep you up to date with national news. Wherever you live and whatever sort of abode you have, your favorite room is the front hall. For every Gemini, the heart of the home is the hall table with the mail. Your ideal house might be a 411 because you always feel that you've got everybody's number. Clothes. No matter how smartly a Gemini tries to dress, there's always something out of place or over the top. Subtlety is not a Gemini strong point. Nobody knows better than a Gemini how to dress to kill. Your wardrobe is not so much a treasure trove as an armory. Each outfit is picked to make a statement, and as changeable, dare we even say contrary, Gemini, there are many statements you want to make. Your favorite items are those which adjust to your mood. You go wild when you find a shop that sells reversible jackets or dresses with detachable sleeves. You're also a believer in accessories. You have a special fondness for large, chunky pieces of jewelry, and you have a preference for earrings which most people would be more inclined to display on their mantelpiece. Cars. As you are adaptable, versatile, spur of the moment Gemini, your dream vehicle has to be something snappy. In moments of fantasy, your favor a luxury limo. But common sense soon ends the idea. Where would you park it? How would you protect it? And most crucially, how would you steer it into those enticing little gaps in traffic that you're so fond of claiming? What you really want is the best of both worlds, an inevitable status symbol with a slim body and endless energy. But never mind your ideal partner, we're supposed to be describing your ideal vehicle. This has to be customized two-seat sports car with an ejector seat for tiresome passengers and a device for shooting nails into the tires of anyone who has the nerve to tailgate you. Food. Variety is the spice of life for every Gemini, and this is especially true when it comes to food. If you're a truly typical Gemini, food is rarely a big deal for you. You'll happily eat whatever happens to be lying around in the refrigerator, as long as it's quick to cook and easy to digest. What it actually tastes like hardly seems to matter. The only time your mouth really starts to water is when you've ordered a tremendous variety of new and unusual food. You're naturally irrespectable. Gemini curiosity can't resist trying a tiny bit of absolutely everything. Smorgasbords, for example, really get you going, and some Geminis have been known to travel miles in advance for a new delicacy. Money. It is enterprise which builds and improves world possessions. If enterprise is afoot, wealth accumulates, whatever may be happening to thrift. And if enterprise is asleep, wealth decays, whatever thrift may be doing. It will, I am sure, come as no surprise to you to learn that words above were written by a Gemini. You may be even more gratified to learn that they come from a famous economist, John Maynard Keynes. If only you or he were in charge of the country's finances, our economic progress would always be a success. Of course, if you were in charge of national debt, you wouldn't have time to pursue all those other exciting financial possibilities that you're interested in. And this, of course, is part of your trouble. You want to have your cake and eat it too. You try to keep as many fingers in as many pies as you can. To extend the culinary analogy still further, you put far more on your plate than you can ever hope to digest. And a sense of insecurity that prevents you from putting all your eggs in one basket, it's got to be overcome. It doesn't matter whether you pick the safe route or the more adventurous one. You'll enjoy a great deal of success and enough economic progress to keep the wolf from the door whatever you do, as long as you don't try to be all of the things, all people, or spread all resources too thinly over too many plans and projects. Specialize and you'll thrive. Just the job? Advertising, agent, bicycle maker, bookkeeper, bookseller, broadcaster, broker, bus driver, editor, engineer, journalist, lecturer, linguist, mechanic, messenger, nerve specialist, pollster, porter, post office worker, press baron, telephone salesman, traffic manager, typist, weather forecaster, writer. 5 ways to cash in. Charge for any information you offer. Sell a product you really believe in. Stop showing off your knowledge in front of your bosses. It makes them insecure and it is costing you a pay raise. Let someone else get the better of you deliberately so you can lull them into a false sense of security. Spend less time on the phone. 5 ways to branch out. Write questions for a quiz show. Compile encyclopedias. Go on stage as the amazing Mr. Miss Memory. Welcome the West Virginia sales rep for the coal company or the Alaskan agent for Acme freezers. Write speeches for politicians. Love. Romantic, in the classic sense, does not appeal to most Geminis. They simply want someone to talk to and, more importantly, someone who will listen to them. There's a very low boredom threshold in every Gemini. That's why they tend to shift and change so much. They hate the thought of being stuck in a rut. Some people believe that it is not possible for Geminis to go through their whole lives with just one romantic partner. They argue that people born under your sign can no more manage monogamy than a disc jockey can cope with silence. The theory is that you simply have to have variety, excitement, distraction, entertainment, and a certain amount of danger in your world. Up to a point, it's true. You certainly can't stick with the wrong partner. Unlike some who might be inclined to learn to live with an error or miscalculation and to suffer the consequences stoically for years, you value your freedom and your happiness far too highly. But this doesn't mean that you are destined to limp from one unsatisfactory relationship to the next until you grow too old to contemplate trying again. It simply means that instead of constantly changing partners, you need to think about picking one partner who will keep changing to meet the different requirements of a new day. As a many-sided personality, you need, naturally enough, a multifaceted companion. You need somebody who will at least accept and adapt to your moods. You need somebody who will um, best actually relish them. Almost certainly, this will involve someone who is a little eccentric and exceptional. But this ought to be a bonus, and the only real difficulty here is that your ideal mate may well turn out to be every bit as volatile and mercurial as you are. You might be the one who has to do the running to keep up for a while, to keep up while he or she forges ahead. But this is still far preferable to being stuck in a relationship where the same old arguments keep being trotted out day after day, and the same old bones of contention keep being squabbled over. So don't let anybody tell you that true love is not attainable or that permanency is impossible. It is merely a matter of thinking what you're entering into before you enter into it next time, or thinking now about how you might encourage your existing soulmate to explore ways in which he or she can grow with you. A sideways look at your sign. Geminis are supposed to be terribly talkative, and of course, this is not always true. There are silent Geminis, just as there are shy Leos and pessimistic Pisceans. There aren't many, but they do exist. Even the quiet ones, however, have some noisy thoughts. There's no such thing as a Gemini without a strong opinion. Normally, that opinion is well informed because all Geminis are insatiably inquisitive. They devour newspapers, magazines, TV programs, and books like hungry wolves. What's more, they aren't fussy about what they learn because they feel it is all useful. Sometimes, though, the Gemini opinion can be very tenuous, deliberately so, for Geminis can see real links between the most unlikely, unrelated things. That's what drives them to keep asking questions. And it's also what drives anyone who wants a straight answer to despair. You see, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the mythological messenger of the gods. If you're ever seen if you've ever seen a bicycle messenger weave and dodge through rush hour traffic, you'll understand why Geminis, firmly under the influence of Mercury, can be so hard to pin down. The one thing which every Gemini is convinced of from birth is that no point of view is immune to compromise. In fact, that's probably the only thing a Gemini is ever convinced of, because Geminis can always see at least two sides to every story, and often more. If that last sentence caused you to raise an eyebrow, perhaps it's because I told you a little earlier that all Geminis have strong opinions. Well done! You've spotted the first of many contradictions in the Gemini mental makeup. You either love them or hate them for it, and if you want to get along with Geminis, you have to understand that they change their minds more often than some people change their socks. They have strong opinions, but they treat them as starting points, not finishing lines. After every sentence you hear a Gemini utter, no matter how empathetic it is, feel free to add the words, unless of course you can persuade me of a better idea. These words are not always spoken, but they are always implied. Some people say this proves Geminis are unprincipled, unreliable, or just plain awkward. Geminis insist it proves that they are open-minded and able to adapt. At the risk of delivering a Gemini-style statement, I must say that both points of view have a bit of truth to them. Geminis can spring to life when there's a good dispute or debate going on. They hate to battle, but they love to barter. And they'll often play devil's advocate just to see what can be learned from pushing a point too far. All of this, of course, gives every Gemini a natural merchant mentality. Not all Geminis wheel and deal for a living, but every Gemini has an eye for a bargain, an endless obsession with a fast buck, and a terrific talent for making offers people can't refuse. By now, you're probably feeling a little hurt. I pointed out, rather mercilessly, a picture, but I've told you a little bit about the wonderful, soulful, sensitive qualities of this sign. I won't apologize because what you've read is just fair, and as far as it goes. But I'll stress that a Gemini is kind, amendable, considerate, and creative. They are wise, adventurous, fun-loving, and thoughtful. They are definitely not stubborn, proud, pessimistic, or cold-hearted. Okay, so that is your excerpt from the complete book of Gemini. I hope that you found this information helpful.